It's now time for the news on Hope Channel Zambia, television that changes lives. Stories making headlines in our news. Fate of Kabushi and Kwacha by-elections to be determined after court ruling. Over 100 farmers in Kazungola district venture into beekeeping business. Midlands West Women Ministries donate flour to kickstart baking business among the Muslim women. And Woodlands Conference hold first ever Dorcas rally in Rufunsa Mission District. Details will follow shortly.
Because you are a sexual animal. Not only that, go out together, have fun. Go to a resort place, stay there, laugh, share that. Joys and sorrows. A companion.
You shouldn't be enemies in the home.
Yeah, in fact, when you don't marry a person you love, this aspect of pleasure won't be there. You just marry for the sake of sex. You have sex in 10 minutes and you have 24 hours. What will happen to you with 23 hours, 50 minutes?
It is going to come from the young generation is to say, leave the marriage. Leave that man.
They say marriage is like a tower, this huge tower. Those who are inside, they want to come out. And those who are outside, they want to go in.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bright Sinkoze, and on sign language we have George Kalimukwa. Now, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, is yet to determine the fate of Kabushi and Kwacha by-elections. ECZ Acting Chief Electoral Officer Bob Musenga says the Commission will only give guidance on the way forward once the High Court has given its ruling on the 2 vacant seats. Mr. Musenga said the Commission was aware of the constitutional provisions of holding any by-election within 90 days from the time the seat falls vacant, but that before the court makes a ruling, the election can't hold. Meanwhile, the Commission has set Friday, 4th November 2022, as the date for various council and local government by-elections. Mr. Musenga said during a media briefing that the 3 council chairperson and 20 ward seats fell vacant following deaths, nullifications, as well as resignations.
The Commission has prescribed Friday, 4th November 2022 as the date on which to hold by-elections for 3 council chairperson and 21 ward councillor by-elections. The polls will take place from 06 hours to 18 hours. The nominations for the said by-elections will be conducted on Thursday, the 13th day of October 2022. The various local government vacancies have arisen due to a number of reasons ranging from deaths, nullifications of elections, and indeed resignations. A detailed schedule of these vacancies was shared in 2 separate press releases, and these can be obtained from our Corporate Affairs Department and equally available on official ECZ social media platforms. Just to recap the voter registration statistics, in our last update, a total of 6,413 voters registered in the month of September 2022, out of which 2,883 are male, while 3,530 are female. Solwezi recorded the highest number of registered voters in the month at 2,041, while Mongu recorded the least at a paltry number of 45. Ndola did not record any new registration due to the suspension of the excise in the area on account of the pending parliamentary by-election. So this brings the cumulative total number of registered voters since the excise commenced on 1st June 2022 to 10,493. Out of the total number of voters registered this period, 5,592 are male, while 4,901 are female. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be aware that the by-elections for Kabushi and Kwacha constituencies were scheduled to take place on 15th September 2022. However, the Commission could not proceed to conduct the by-elections following the High Court ruling delivered on 13th September 2022, staying or indeed suspending the elections for the two constituencies. The Commission is alive to the fact that the Constitution gives 90 days within which to conduct a by-election. And in view of the above, the Commission will make a pronouncement on the matter anytime soon, and stakeholders will be updated.
Now, in an unfortunate matter, an inferno that swept through a house belonging to a single mother of Kafiwe Township has left property worthy thousands of kwacha destroyed. It is alleged that house owner, 25-year-old Purity Mwemba, left her 8-year-old daughter between 18 and 19 hours alone as she went to fend for her family in her boiled egg business. It is said Mrs. Mwemba's daughter left a burning candle near the curtain unattended to while she went to look for her siblings who had gone to play. And confirmed reports indicate that the candle fell on the curtain, which got bent and fueled the fire, which affected all parts of the house. Miss Mwemba, mother of 4, has since appealed for help from well-wishers. Meboch Timbiti gives us details in this report.
This is a 25-year-old lady of Kafiwe. She lost her properties due to an inferno that occurred a few days ago. Purity Mwemba, a 25-year-old mother of 4, had her house gutted after her first 8-year-old girl left the candle unattended to at about 18 to 19 hours as she went to look for her siblings.
So ndagasi detwana parike mwanangu first born wala 8 years basi akendo giya ugari yandala bahonto bagi nubare ambuti kendo yakajitira kujiketani yakataliga kupya buyaga hose mugati.
She survives by selling boiled eggs. She is appealing to well-wishers to help her with anything that would meet her needs.
Nagali market kusambala tumayeki. So jini ndaga nkawa kusesa sesa tumpongoli. Ndabana bali 4. Kanda yarapya. So ndromba boruka utemba nibwa heri yabuli ndita kwani hebujita.
Pastor Shepherd Tembo has appealed to members of the public to come and aid this family.
There's a lady whose house got burnt and she lost everything. And we also helped her, but it wasn't enough. So we just asked for donors to come in and assist this lady.
Right behind me is a house of a 25-year-old woman who lost everything in an inferno. She's appealing for well-wishers to come on board. Reporting for Hope Channel, I'm Meboch Timbiti in Kafiwe.
Now, opposition Zambians United for Sustainable Development, ZUSD Presidential Assistant Tatila has called on the church and traditional leaders to offer counseling to Lumezi Independent Member of Parliament, Munia Zulu, who he has described as a constant abrogator of rules of the National Assembly. Mr. Tatila said leaving the matter unattended to will negatively affect other youths in the political space. He said the church for a long time has provided counsel to politicians and says they should the church keep quiet or silent. This time around, Mr. Zulu's conduct may affect many young people aspiring for political leadership. Mr. Tatila said not all hope is lost for the Lumezi lawmaker, as he is a great leader who only needs counsel and advice.
So for us as Zambians United for Sustainable Development, we want to appeal to the church and the traditional leaders to always provide counseling to Honorable Munia Zulu. We have seen that in many cases he has come in conflict with the rules of that governs the house, and I think young Munia Zulu is representing the young people in parliament, and therefore we are also signatory to a SADC and African Charter that encourages youth participation in politics, and therefore many young people look forward to go to parliament and so on and so forth. And for us is that we know that the church has always played a key role in providing counseling to politicians in this country, and even on Munia Zulu they should do so that together we can promote youth participation. And we know that many young people have erred, many young people have made mistakes in the past. For example, we saw the UPN protesting against their own Secretary General, we saw the UPN protesting against the CDF, we saw the UPN again threatening to beat opposition leaders, and this all action doesn't support the youth participation in politics. We know that there are youth that are capable of running the governance of this particular country, and the future of Zambia is dependent on the young people.
More than 150 farmers in Kazungola district of Southern Province have been supported in beekeeping projects to improve their livelihoods. The support has been rendered to farmers by the Strengthening Climate Resilience of Agriculture Livelihood in Agroecological Zones SCRALA project. Kazungola Senior Agriculture Officer Sao Tundu Kaonga explained to NAIS during an interview in Kazungola.
More than 150 farmers in Kazungola have been supported in beekeeping projects to improve their livelihoods. The support has been rendered to farmers by the Strengthening Climate Resilience of Agriculture Livelihood in the Agroecological Zones SCRALA project. Kazungola Senior Agriculture Officer Tundu Kaonga explained this to NAIS during an interview in Kazungola.
SCRALA project under Output 2, which looks at resilient agricultural practices and alternative livelihood for the communities in Kazungola district, has supported 192 farmers who are engaged in beekeeping in the 19 agricultural camps that were targeted. And each of those farmers has received 10 Kenyan top bar beehives, and of course with some protective gear.
He also mentioned that beneficiaries have already started realizing income from the sale of honey and able to buy cattle from the revenue.
Those that have already started harvesting, in one beehive, they're able to get about 15 kg of honeycomb. And some have already started realizing income, some are buying cattle from the revenue that they're getting from beekeeping.
And one of the beneficiaries, Keith Mutebula of Kazungola, is happy with the beehives project because it does not require a lot of income to establish.
The idea of keeping bees is good. The capital to establish the business is that much. Honey has a lot of money because the kilo is 65 kwacha.
SCRALA project is operating in Kazungola, Namwala, Gwembe, Chirundu and Siavonga district of Southern Province. Maiwasi Zulu reporting for NAIS in Kazungola, Southern Province.
Just now, let's take a break. We have more stories on the other side. Don't go.
Seventh-day Adventists are wonderful people living with the blessed hope of the second coming of Jesus as King of the universe. The great desire of the church is to reach the world for Jesus and witness about his love and salvation for mankind. The just ended General Conference session retaliated this unique mandate of mission to the world through the strategic plan that continues to hover upon each member's commitment to service by saying, "I will go." As we join hands together, we can also say, "We will go together." In his presidential message to all readers of the Southern Star, Dr. Vani Munyumbwe appeals that we all need to embrace the current renewed emphasis on total member involvement as a call to every member and level of the church to find ways of putting every hand to the gospel plow and set many souls to work. Among many other interesting articles and highlights of God's marvelous acts covered in this edition of the Southern Star, you will find the vision statement of the newly elected Southern African Indian Ocean Division President's message, so meaningful and timely as he talks about the deliberate approach to territorial realignment, unity of purpose, stewardship emphasis, and evangelism as the main mission of the church. There you are. Feel free to get yourself an electronic copy of the magazine today by simply sending a WhatsApp message of request to 0979 624 559. Southern Star, sounding the gospel message.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. As part of the planned activities for the Benevolence Week, Midlands West Zambia Conference Women Ministries last Sunday donated bags of flour, cooking oil, sugar and baking powder to some Muslim women in Chaisa compound of Lusaka. The donated items, all valued at 5,000 kwacha, were meant to enhance the livelihoods of the Muslim women who are now set to start a scone baking business at individual level. Speaking during the donation, Midlands West Zambia Conference Women Ministries Director Lillian Mundia said it was going to be easy for them to donate actual food, which later was going to finish and leave the women stranded, but they decided to give the women a start-up capital in order for them to make or earn a living constantly. Meanwhile, wife to the Imam, who in this context would be referred to as pastor's wife, Samira Zimba, was amazed to receive a team of Christians, which was happening for the first time in Chaisa compound. She said the visit and empowerment should mark the beginning of a long-lasting relationship between Muslims and Christians, especially from the Adventist Church. We have more in this report. There seemed to be an unwritten law which separates those practicing the Muslim faith from Christians, just like in the times of old, where Jews and Samaritans would not eat from the same pot. A careful study of both the Bible and the Quran would not sanction any of such. For this reason, the women ministries from Midlands West Zambia Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church on Sunday, 9th October 2022, to mark the start of the Benevolence Week, visited some Muslim women in Lusaka's Chaisa compound with the aim of showing love and empower them with start-up capital.
Kwebati tupange echibusa na imwe ama Muslim women imwe na ifwe tuafuma kulilesa unga umo. We come from the same God, so we have decided uyulesa itupanga bonse mna usambali achalo tuboneka fechi na mshatu alipalana wonse nga bamicheka blood yalafu mucheki yoyu blood ni mozi eza musungu mwenye wose tichape chingati chimozi.
Conference Women Ministries Director Mrs. Lillian Mundia, leading the women drawn from all parts of the conference boundaries, shares the joy and aim of such a visit to the Muslim women.
As a Department of Women's Ministries, we decided to visit our Muslim women folk We've come here to give them flour. We've done health expos. We've even shown them the skill on how they can do some entrepreneur skills. These women are not supposed to be sidelined. As Christians, we need to show love towards other religions. What prompted us to think of the Muslim women is the love that Jesus himself shown to us to come and die for all mankind. We believe even them, Jesus died for them. We believe they are created in the image of God. So what really moved us is the oneness that Jesus has brought by his death on the cross of Calvary. We believe this relationship will continue. This is just a starting point.
Samira Zimba, wife to the Imam, or among Christians otherwise would be called pastor's wife, whose joy to receive Christians could not be hidden, thanked the women from the Adventist Church for being the first group to have ever visited a Muslim congregation, at least in Chaisa.
Awe abazimai batilangizako skill ya yopanga maskonzi awo bazimai batengako tubiri tutatu then batandizako vovala flour na cooking oil na salt na baking powder. Awe alhamdulillah bazimai bakuno kuchaisa batokoza maningi. Tulasi it's our first time. Kuno kuchaisa I think it karibu kuma napo na makristiani wanzatu. Tima longana chabe teka so chabe so tapanga tuma meetings teka bati changala cho tima sukila kuona kuti banzatu ba Seventh Day Adventist bati bwerera pamozi so ati bonse tinkale bantu bamozi sisi tunachoka kuli Abraham mozi alhamdulillah ndisebo tokoza.
This visit was meant specifically to empower some older Muslim women with some basic baking skills and also given where to start from, but also teach them on how to make homemade peanut butter and some clothes donated to the Muslim women. To ensure that the women are in good health, some health component was part of the ingredient to the program. Mrs. Dorothea Solwe, a retired nurse, now shares findings from this exercise.
We are able to check their weights and their blood pressure, and most of them, their blood pressures, they are within the normal range.
Receivers could not hide their joy.
Naongaziko maningi bobo azima amena tibwerera batupunzisa mopangira makeke so bayona batupunzisa hivi sizankhala chabe tizambopanga tumasikono tigulisako
akondwera ine kuti Muslim wapezeka na Christian nanga cho ndabuisa ine day yale onaka Mulungu mwamene alili usho Mulungu ni mukulu uyo ni mukulu so Muslim banzanga usati tizisankana tizikondana muzake muzachi
awe tayamikira hapo kumana azimai baku 70 day nichokondolesa kumangala kupatulana kuti ma Muslimu ma Christiani abamu akuti komalelo kulibo patulana tili pamoja.
Just like Fawadi Nadi, a Muslim author, has said before, Christians and Muslims have coexisted peacefully before and must do so again. It has now become necessary that just like the women from Midlands West Zambia Conference have done, everyone must be involved in reconciling hearts and people. Bright Sinkos, Hope News, Lusaka. Now, Lusaka Province Minister Sheo Muriata has commended the Adventist Church through the Dorcas workers for their commitment in complementing government's efforts in many areas. Speaking during the just-ended Woodlands Conference Dorcas rally in Rufunsa, Mrs. Muriata said Dorcas workers are hardworking and that they should never relent in doing good for the less privileged. And the minister said Republican President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema would like to work with everyone, including the church, to bring development to the nation. She said government will not compete with the church, but will work together for the good of the people. And Woodlands Conference President Dr. Daniel Ochunga commended government for fulfilling its promises to the nation, such as recruitment of health workers and teachers. We have details in this.
The minister, Madam Shu S. Muliata, thanked the Dorcas workers, being the very hardworking and committed team, by helping the poor. She says helping the poor also helps the government to fight poverty and improve livelihood in the country. Madam Shu S. Muliata encourages the mothers to always remember the girl child and play a role on social challenges by fighting moral decay and always be a role model to help the poor.
The church has with the government in the health and education sectors. Allow me to highlight that as Dorcas mother, you have been a fundamental pillar. Congratulations. I love you. As mothers, we are neutrals and better placed to deal with the social challenges in our communities. The challenges are many. We have challenges in our communities of the girl child. A lot of evil is being done to the girl child. As mothers, we have these challenges. How are we going to do it? How are we going to fight this? There's so much that we need to do. Let us remember the girl child, who in a few years to come will be our mothers here. Let us fight this together. It is in this regard I urge you to fight moral decay and continue being role models as you have always done, to do good and help the poor diligently and with integrity. As I close, may the good Lord bless Zambia. May the good Lord bless the Dorcas mother. And may the good Lord bless your works.
Nyamika mulungu pakutidalisa muntu aliyense potoka pamalo ano azatoka nuodalisika. Poenda kumanyumba kwatu mailo na kudalisani kuchokera muno mumuzi mwa Ngobola kuti mwende bwino mwana wanga. Kuyambira kuli ma pastors, ma elders, ma president, ta chikula mazina mbili pano. Koma simu ziwachabe mamene nichimvelela pano. Muzi wanga uniwodalisika kwa manja ya mulungu. Na mulungu kuti mukatipembera kwa mina muzaenda azitisunga more blessing na imwe. And you tikakumane futi next 2 years ago yamene tinali nayo tenze na matenda ya corona. But amabale batu bambiri wanaonongeka banatisiya koma tentu wapashe kwa mine walili wakone na mtendere na ifu pameta fika pasino ntawi cheni tiende na mtendere wache wanzatu wanakona mumatenda eaja tentu waikile mkambi ya ndani.
Meanwhile, the Woodlands Conference President, Dr. Daniel Chunga, commended the government for the services that is rendering to the country and communities, even for bringing the recruitment in healthy and education sector and for the development of local communities. He says the prayer is God to sustain and help them achieve their goals with success.
I want to appreciate you, Dorcas workers, work you are doing in the community. We have come all the way from Kafue, Feira, and Lusaka. Spiritual renewal. See how we can move forward in ministering to our communities. Honorable Minister, and may I also recognize the area councillor that we appreciate the services of New Dawn government. Firstly, to create a good environment where we can worship. Secondly, to appreciate the New Dawn government for their inclusiveness of all provinces in the affairs of the government. Every tribe in Zambia now feels happy and valued. Once upon a time, would only hear there is a pass out. When was the recruitment? This service of being transparent, of opening avenues for jobs, be it teachers or health workers, is commendable indeed.
Nixon Fury, reporting for Hope News, Lusaka.
Still in Rufunsa, since the establishment of Woodlands Conference almost 4 years ago, last week from 2nd to 8th October 2022, Dorcas workers from within the conference held their first ever historical Dorcas rally. The rally, whose theme was "I Will Go Today," had, among many other activities, the unveiling of 94 new society members who underwent a colorful belting procedure. Among the belted members was 77-year-old Evelina Lucina, while Esther Monga became the youngest member at the age of 19. With mission at heart, 47 souls were baptized in the conference using the newly acquired portable baptism pool. Woodlands Conference Personal Ministries Director, Pastor Ruben Muyunda, speaking shortly after baptism, said the mission of the church is to extend gospel borders for Christ.
The Woodlands Conference Dorcas workers had in one's hand the very first rally event from the 2nd to the 8th of October 2022 clenched at the Streamview in Rufunsa under the theme, "I Will Go Today." The Personal Ministries Director Ruben Muyonda says the Dorcas workers of Woodlands Conference have divulged the ambition and zeal towards their work and commitment shown in everything that requires them to work on. However, he says this has made them to manage their first rally and acquire the very unique pool in Rufunsa at the Streamview for the baptism of 47 people on the line. Mr. Moyonda says the Dorcas workers also had a special time having an engaging session of belting other people to be officially welcomed in the Society of Dorcas Workers as a team.
And we have seen the ambition and zeal for the Master's glory that the Dorcas workforce hold on this planet Earth. They decided to end their rally in style. They acquired a unique portable baptismal pool, where today we have baptized not less than 40. Hosanna in the highest. Our mission under the sun is to ensure that we extend gospel borders for Christ. The only biblical philosophy that is second to none is to mingle with men under community service, and they were blessed by speakers that include, among others, Dr. Daniel Chunga, the conference president.
The Dorcas president, Ruth Muyeka, says it is very exciting that the Dorcas workers worked on point and that she is very happy to have invited guests on their midst.
It was very exciting because most of the federation leaders have really assisted us to make this rally successful. It was not easy, but because of the unity that has developed amongst the Dorcas workers, we have managed to hold this rally. And
Ruth Muyeka encourages the Dorcas workers who remain behind to be there in the next rally.
I'm encouraging also the Dorcas workers who have remained behind to make sure that during the second rally that we shall hold in 2024, they must be there. We have also done community service here. We have also baptized here. And look at what we have done also the swimming pool here. We are very much excited.
The Dorcas workers managed to belt 94 workers at the Streamview pool. Meanwhile, the oldest belted worker was Evelina Lucina, aged 77, and she says she is very excited being belted as officially one of the Dorcas mothers and that she's very happy and she feels very young again.
napwerera kubwana kungala mwana mung'ono chipuka cha Dokasi nimvera bwino maningi lelo kungala Dokasi.
The youngest bloated worker was Esther Monga, aged 19. She says she is very happy and joyful within her soul because she has joined the Dorcas Workers Board. She further says the reason she went on joining the Dorcas Workers is to go out and preach the gospel.
I'm feeling joy over my body because I have joined the Dorcas Society. I've joined this society because I'm ready to go and reach out there to help my friends in need. And the message to the young people out there is the same way David was able to kill Goliath by God's grace. I too, as young as I am, I can manage to go and reach the community there by God's intervention in me.
I just encouraged her to come with me here, and it was a shock to hear her say that she wanted a Dorcas uniform, and that is where her journey started, and I thank God for that.
Nixon Piri, reporting for Hope News, Lusaka.
Well, exciting news to see that both the young and the old would join forces and do exploits for God's kingdom. And finally, in our news, we talk about issues that are raising from the baptism that took place in Kafiwe. About 174 people last Saturday, 8th October 2022, expressed publicly their walk with Jesus after being baptized at the close of the 4 church-organized crusade in Kafiwe. Speaking shortly after baptism, Pastor Collins Chanda, who was the baptizing minister, called on others still in the valley of decision to consider choosing Christ as time is running out. The crusade was held under the theme, Jesus is Coming, and baptism candidates expressed happiness having made a decision to walk in the newness of Christ. Meboch Timbiti gives us a report.
4 congregations in Kafiwe Mission District met to conclude their crusade that began on the 25th September at Mtendere grounds. Pastor Hayten Hamwene conducted the crusade that saw 174 candidates on Saturday, 8th October, giving themselves to Christ for baptism. Pastor Collins Chanda has encouraged the newly baptized members to uphold standards of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
I think you have seen it had to go for 2 pastors to be in the water. What a thing. It shows that the work that is happening in Kafiwe, it is marvelous. May God bless Kafiwe. But for those men and women who are not yet baptized, I'm encouraging you to come along. Come on and be baptized because the time is going. Do not wait for tomorrow. Come if you are there, including you that is hearing, come and be baptized. May God bless the church, more especially Pastor Tembo and the elders that are going to nurture these brothers and sisters.
We dubbed it the King is Coming Crusade, and we ran for 2 weeks, culminating just this Sabbath. And a total of 371 people gave themselves. We have baptized 174. It's telling us that we have a lot of work to go back and work around that. But the most important thing is the attendance that was there every evening. We had over 1,250 people every night in the ground, young and old. And one of the exciting elements actually is the number of non-Seventh-day Adventists who came. Actually, in the total number of baptisms, over 100 were actually coming from other denominations. The work is really going on in this area, and I can say to the viewers there, to members of the church, everyone who loves mission, there is still a lot we can do. And come to think of it, it's like after COVID, there is this brand new awakening, a desire for people to attend camp meetings, to attend revivals, and also to receive the word of God. I would encourage everyone in our Union Conference, Southern Zambian Conference, and across on the North Zambian Union Conference, every conference, every field, we need to work hard to ensure that souls are brought into the kingdom.
District Personal Ministries leader Elder Mukuka has called on church members to use all available means to evangelize.
Our members here have been moving door to door
to do personal evangelism, and that has been very effective. We have also been given a very powerful preacher who has been preaching to us the majority of the time, hence the response. So as a church, we want to inform our members that we are still on duty. Our core duty is to do evangelism, and one of the best ways is to do personal evangelism. And we need also to motivate other members by doing it on platforms such as on radio, TV, and any kind of media, so that people can be aware of our program. So as a church, the thing that we have to do is now, we need to work together and see that this so that we have just won are given the right spiritual food.
Mebo Chitimbiti, reporting for Hope News in Kafue. Well, that item brings us to the end of the news. Before I go, let's recap on stories that made headlines. Fate of Kabushi and Kwacha by-elections to be determined after court ruling. Over 100 farmers in Kazungula district venture into beekeeping business. Midlands West Women Ministries donate flour to kickstart baking business among Muslim women. And Woodlands Conference hold first ever Dorcas rally in Rufunsa Mission District. That's it for our news. I'm Bright Sinkos on behalf of George Kalimukwa, who was on sign language, together with the rest of the team that worked around the clock to ensure you have this bulletin. God bless and bye for now.